I am going to discuss the next topic of the subject analog circuits. This is the third lecture, and in this lecture I am going to discuss biasing techniques in BJT. So, I will cover the introduction part, what is biasing, why we need biasing, then after that need of biasing, and after that requirements of biasing circuits that I will discuss, then different biasing schemes for BJT. So, first of all we should know the basics of transistor, because we are going to study the amplifier circuits and we are going to design that amplifier circuit using BJT. So, transistor is of mainly two types, one is BJT and another one is FET, and in FET there is JFET and MOSFET, and MOSFET is most popular, and mostly circuits in today's era we design using MOSFET because of its low power consumption. So, bipolar junction transistor, it is called bipolar because in bipolar junction transistor the current flows due to electrons and holes both. Metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor, that is in short it is called MOSFET. MOSFET is unipolar, it is unipolar because in MOSFET the current flows only due to either electrons or holes. If it is due to electrons, that is called N channel MOSFET, if it is due to holes, that is called P channel MOSFET, fine. And BJT, the symbol of BJT is, BJT is having three terminals, one is base, another one is collector, and the terminal at which there is an arrow outwards, that is your emitter, and this is NPN transistor. This is NPN transistor. In PNP the arrow is inwards, fine. This is the basic symbol of BJT, and the symbol of MOSFET is, normally we consider enhancement type MOSFET. So, this is the gate terminal, and in BJT there is a collector, in MOSFET there is a drain, in BJT there is emitter, in MOSFET there is a source. This is the symbol of MOSFET, and BJT and MOSFET both are transistors and both are active element. So, we design amplifiers using active element, we can design it using BJT or using MOSFET. In this particular class we will be focusing on BJT only. So, when we talk about amplifier, so in the first class of analog circuits I had discussed what is amplifier and what it actually amplifies. So, in amplifier the shape of the signal should not change, the shape of the signal should not change. It means that this is your amplifier and we need to amplify the signal that is generated by sensors or transducer, and that signal generated by sensors or transducer, it is very small in size, small in magnitude. So, we need to amplify it, and we need to amplify it because we need to process that small signal, and also we have to overcome the effect of noise also. So, in amplifier if we are applying a sine wave like this, this is your input V in versus time t, then at the output we should get the output waveform like this one, amplified version. Now, you can see that the amplitude, the voltage level of the output signal is increased, but the shape of the input and output signal both are same. So, in amplifier the shape of the input and output signal, it should be same. If the shape is changing, that means there is a distortion, that is unacceptable, that is unacceptable. So, shape of the signal applied at the input, it should not change at the output. If the shape is changing, distortion, there is distortion, that means some information may loss. So, that should not happen, that is not desirable. So, in order to get the proper amplification of the input signal, we need to do the biasing. We need to ensure that the output signal which is generated after amplification, the shape should not change, there should not be any distortion at the output side. For that we use biasing. So, this is the basic amplifier circuit, amplifier that is using BJT. This is your BJT, and this capital V, capital B, capital E, this one, this is your DC bias voltage, and small v, small b, small e, this one, this is the input signal, this is the input AC signal that is to be amplified, fine. So, in amplifier circuit, one is your DC bias voltage, that is your VB, capital V, capital B, capital E, and another one is VCC, that is the supply voltage, this is the bias voltage. To make sure that your BJT, it should be in active region, because we know that BJT works as an amplifier in active region. So, we need to ensure that this BJT, it should be in active region. For that, the bias voltage that is given to BJT, it should be properly set, and the signal that is to be amplified, that is small v, small b, small e, that is the input AC signal, fine. So, you can see that when we draw the graph between input voltage VB versus VC, that is this one, on x axis there is a VB, on y axis there is a VC. So, when the input voltage, that is at the base terminal, when it is low, then in that case your BJT, this is NPN transistor, it will be off, then your output will go at the higher side. So, when the input is low, then your output is high, and when input is high, then your NPN transistor will be on means now there will be collector current. So, we will get some voltage drop across this resistance RC. So, your collector voltage will decrease, VC will decrease. So, you can see that your VC, collector to emitter voltage, is decreasing when your transistor is on, because when the transistor, NPN transistor is on, then there will be collector current, and obviously there is a current, then there will be the voltage drop across RC. So, the complete VCC will not reach to your collector terminal, fine. So, the collector voltage will decrease as your collector current increases, fine. So, this is your cutoff mode when your BJT is off. We are interested in this active mode, because in active mode BJT works as an amplifier, and in saturation it works as a closed switch. So, your operating point, that is also called Q point or salient point or quiescent point, it should be in the middle of the active mode. That is the requirement of biasing. Basically, biasing is done to make sure that your operating point, it should be in the middle of the active region. So, when the Q point, it is in middle of the active region, then when you apply a simple sine wave, then you get the amplified sine wave, that is the output voltage, fine. So, you can see that the shape of this output signal is, it is not changed, because your Q point is, it is in the middle of active mode. If this Q point is shifted away from the away from the middle of the active mode, then we may get the distortion. The positive part of the sine wave or negative part of the sine wave, it may clip. So, there will be distortion. So, biasing is done to ensure that the Q point, it must be in the middle of the active mode. Once we set the Q point in the middle of the active mode, now apply the AC signal, we will get the proper amplification. So, basically biasing is used to locate the DC bias point, that is also called Q point, operating point, in the IC/VC characteristics to allow for the maximum output voltage swing. Maximum output voltage swing means that I have explained it. This is your input wave. So, at the output we should get the amplified version. Amplified version means the shape should not change when we get the amplified version, fine. Although that amplifier, this one which I have discussed, this is the inverting amplifier, this is the inverting amplifier. You can see that when we are applying the high, then we are getting the low. So, this is the inverting amplifier. So, the voltage gain of this particular amplifier, it will be negative. Negative gain means output is 180 degree out of phase with input, fine. So, it does not matter whether we are getting the inverted signal or non inverted signal, the shape should not change and it can only be done with the help of DC biasing. So, it is quite clear that what is the requirement of biasing to establish the operating point in the middle of the active region. And what is this Q point? This Q point is your collector current IC and VC, the value of IC and VC, DC collector current and the DC collector to emitter voltage, that is the operating point, that is the Q point. And obviously, once the Q point is set in the middle of the active region, then that Q point should not be shifted away from the middle of the active region if your temperature varies, if your transistor parameter varies. So, we need to stabilize the collector current against the temperature variation. We have to make the operating point independent of the transistor parameter like beta, So, if beta varies slightly, then your operating point should not shift. So, there are various biasing techniques for BJT. So, we choose that biasing technique in which the collector current IC, it should be independent of temperature, it should be independent of beta, that is the requirement. So, let us start with the different biasing technique. The first biasing technique is the biasing the BJT by fixing VB, biasing the BJT by fixing VB. So, this is the voltage divider circuit, you can see that this RB1 and RB2, it forms the voltage divider and we can find out the base voltage, and if RB1 and RB2 are fixed, then your base voltage will be fixed and the base voltage will be, this is VB. So, VB will be equal to VCC into RB2 upon RB1 plus RB2, this is your base voltage and emitter is grounded. So, emitter is grounded, it is fixed, base voltage is fixed, so VB is fixed, but the issue with this technique is that if VB changes slightly, because VB, this VB base to emitter voltage, it is a temperature parameter, so if temperature varies, then VB also varies slightly. But the issue is that your collector current IC is directly proportional to e to the power VB by VT. VT is the thermal voltage, VB is the base to emitter voltage. So, if your VB changes slightly, then you will see a large change in collector current, because VB is in the exponential power. So, if VB changes slightly, then collector current will change a lot. So, it will shift the operating point, that is undesirable. So, this particular biasing technique is undesirable. The issue is that if temperature changes, then VB will change. If VB changes, since it is in exponential power, so your collector current will change largely. So, it will shift the operating point. So, your operating point will be shifted from the middle of the active region, fine. So, obviously, it is not desirable. What we want? We want that operating point should be fixed in the middle of the active region. It should not change, it should not change. If it is changing, if it is shifting from the middle of the active region, then we will get distortion. Next one is the biasing the BJT by fixing IB. Again we can find out the base current IB here, just apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law KVL. So, you will get VCC minus this current is IB, IB is flowing through RB. So, VCC minus IB RB minus VBE is equal to 0. This is your VB, fine. So, from this equation you can find out this base current IB. So, again you can see that RB is fixed, VCC is fixed, so IB is fixed. Again the issue is that if the beta changes, then of course if beta changes, then your collector current will change, because we know that the collector current is equal to beta times base current. So, again the same issue, if there is a variation in beta, then there will be a variation in collector current. So, again this is not a good technique. So, the first two techniques which I have discussed, the first one is biasing the BJT by fixing VB, and the second one is the biasing the BJT by fixing IB. Both have issues. The issue is if the temperature varies, if the beta varies, then your operating point is shifting from the middle of the active region, and both are undesirable. So, these techniques are normally not used. The third technique is the classical discrete circuit bias arrangement. Now, see, if you compare the first and the third technique, then there is only one difference. Now, there is a resistor at the emitter terminal. Now, we need to understand that what is the role of this resistance RE at the emitter terminal, fine. See, this is your voltage divider circuit. You can find out the value of VBB, it is the simplified circuit, and VBB will be with the help of voltage divider VCC into R2 upon R1 plus R2, and this is your Thevenin equivalent. So, you can find out the Thevenin equivalent just by short circuiting this VCC DC supply voltage. So, if this VCC is short circuited, then your R1 and R2 will be in parallel, fine. So, your RB is R1 parallel to RB, R1 parallel to R2. Now, see what is the value of VBB with the help of voltage division rule, R2 upon R1 plus R2 into VCC, and what is RB? RB is the parallel equivalent of R1 and R2 with the help of Thevenin equivalent, fine. Now, here again we can apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law KVL in this particular loop. We can apply it in this particular loop. What will be the value? It is your VBB minus IB RB minus VB minus IE RE is equal to 0, fine. So, from here we can calculate the value of emitter current. So, just solve it and you can get the value of emitter current I, and emitter current I will be VBB minus VB upon RE plus RB upon beta plus 1, fine. And where IB is, we know the relation, base current is equal to emitter current upon beta plus 1. Now, just see to it, to make this emitter current insensitive to temperature and beta variations, what we need to do? We need to do the VBB should be very greater than VB, that is the first criteria, because if VBB is very greater than VB, then this VB can be neglected. So, obviously, now the issue of by fixing the VB, that issue was there in the first technique, now it is resolved here. And the second one is to make it insensitive to beta, your RE should be very greater than RB upon beta plus 1, but the issue is that RB should be less. If RB is less, then the issue is that your input resistance will be less, and for any voltage amplifier it is mandatory that the input resistance should be as high as possible, fine, input resistance should be high. That is the issue, that is the trade off, in fact we have to optimize that, fine. And one important thing is there, what is the role of this emitter resistance RE? The role of this emitter resistance RE is it provides negative feedback. So, how it provides negative feedback? We can see it, this is the collector current IC that is flowing through RC. So, if due to any reason if IC increases, then your emitter current will increase. If emitter current increases, then your emitter voltage will increase V, and if V increases, if your V increases, then your base to emitter voltage will decrease. If your base to emitter voltage will decrease, then your collector current IC will decrease, fine. So, at the starting when your collector current increases, then your collector current is also decreased. So, we say that this RE provides negative feedback. So, it stabilizes your collector current. So, if your collector current had increased, but due to this emitter resistance RE, your collector current is decreased also. So, we say that this RE provides negative feedback, it helps to stabilize the collector current. That is the role of this resistance RE at the emitter terminal. So, RE provides negative feedback, and due to this it stabilizes the bias current. Next one is biasing using collector to base feedback resistor. So, in this technique we connect a resistance in between base and collector, fine, and simply we can apply again KVL in this loop, and we will get this equation of VCC, fine, and from here just to rearrange the terms, then we will get emitter current IE. Now, again we can see that to make this emitter current IE insensitive to VB and beta. Why insensitive to VB and beta? Because VB is temperature dependent. If IE is insensitive to VB, then it will be insensitive to temperature also. So, again your VCC, see, your VCC should be very greater than VB, and of course your RC should be very greater than RB upon beta plus 1. So, this is the condition, but again the same issue, if your RB is less, then your input resistance will be less. So, we need to optimize, there is a trade off, fine. And again the function of connecting this resistance in between collector and base terminal RB is it provides negative feedback, that I have already explained in the third technique, that is the negative feedback concept. So, again this RB it provides negative feedback. Next technique is biasing using constant current source. So, it is one of the best technique of the biasing, because this technique, in this technique the emitter current is independent of the values of beta and RB. Independent of the values of beta and RB, it means that now you can increase the value of RB. If you can increase the value of RB base resistance, it means that you can increase the input resistance also. Now, there is no boundation that RB is becoming less. Now, you can independently set the value of RB, so you can increase the value of input resistance, if obviously if you are applying the input signal at the base terminal. But in common base configuration, the base is grounded, in that case this RB has no role, but of course, but when we design any amplifier, then we select common emitter configuration, then in that case in common emitter we apply the input signal at the base terminal. So, we can increase the value of RB here, and it is independent of beta, that is the another advantage, and this current source it can be implemented with the help of current mirror circuit. So, that current source that you have seen, this current source is nothing but a current mirror. So, in current mirror what happens, there are two transistors Q1 and Q2, and the base of both the transistors are shorted and emitter are shorted. So, the base to emitter voltage of both the transistors are same. So, if VB is same, so your collector current will be same. So, I reference equal to I, input current equal to output current, with the condition that Q1 should be diode connected. What is diode connected? When we short the collector and base terminal of any transistor, then the transistor will become diode connected. This Q1 is diode connected transistor. So, if it is diode connected, it will be in active region obviously, and obviously it is a current mirror, the Q1 and Q2 both should be in active region. This shorting of collector and base terminal of Q1, it is very important for the copying action. It is called current mirror because whatever current at the input is there, the same current will appear at the output. So, we will study this current mirror topic in detail in unit 4, fine, there we will do the derivation part also. This is your basic current mirror. Now, again when you apply a KVL from VCC to VE, then we get this current I equation. So, you can see that in this equation I, now there is no RB term, you can see that there is no RB term, there is no base resistance term, there is no beta term. So, that is a good thing, and obviously the value, the summation of VCC plus VE, it is very greater than VB, because for silicon transistor VB is around 0.7 volt, fine. That is the advantage of biasing using constant current source. Now, you can see that this particular biasing technique, it is having the main advantage of, it is that the main advantage is this biasing technique is independent of beta and it is independent of RB, fine. So, this is very popular biasing technique, biasing using constant current source, and this current source, it is implemented with the help of current mirror. So, in biasing, basically if I summarize that, biasing is needed when we design any amplifier, biasing is needed when we design any amplifier, then we have to make sure that the operating point, it should be in the middle of the active region, only then we get the proper amplification. So, to do this we do DC biasing. So, there are various biasing techniques, I have discussed 5 biasing techniques. Out of this 5th biasing technique has the most of the advantages, fine, and this biasing technique, it requires a current mirror, of course it requires a current mirror, and we can design this current mirror, the designing part we will study in unit 4, fine. This is the reference. Thank you.